Hello, guys. Welcome to our fourth episode of Gen Z Sessions. Today we have a brand new topic, and also we have two guests that you haven't seen before on the previous episodes. Two ladies actually. As we're going to introduce Oka Agamaran Kamafuso, and as well, discussing this entire topic. So the topic that I've brought today is called women in development, and I feel like most women in this country are being neglected. They're not being given the platform to do great things and to develop this country. So the first question that I have for both of you guys is, I know you're into science and all that, so I have a question. Can you guys explain what women in STEM is, and how is it important for the development of this country?
Hello everyone, my name is Faith Mtalika and I'm currently at the University of Malawi. I'm in my third year of studies and I'm working on obtaining an honors in chemistry. And yes, I am a young woman in STEM. Women in STEM are basically women that are working in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. In Digamba science, we're breaking it down to management and applied sciences like chemistry, biology, physics, and whatnot. And we can also think about environmental sciences. So many that we can think about when it comes to science. And of course, we can also include my arts as well, because I think Banova Abanga develop a different way of looking at it. They STEM aimed at arts. So basically, women in STEM are leading my roles when it comes to the world in science, the world in technology, the world in engineering, the world in arts, the world in mathematics. We can even think about my students on Samene, they're like pursuing my programs under STEM. On SEO, as long as you're identified as female, you're a woman who is in STEM. Having women in STEM is very important for the development of any country, and including our country, Malawi. Tigamagamba mwina nkhani ya ma innovations when it comes to technology, mwina ma technological advancements abujidiga ambili osiyana, and we even talk about my research. My research already they're in different sectors, talk of agriculture sector, health sector, the commerce sector, my sector siana. Odi they contribute to the development of this country, and when we look at the bigger picture, mostly it's women that are also leading in very, very important research, ma sector siana. Obviously, ma sector meneole okuzana science, technology, engineering, mathematics, of course, so art, yeah? And a very good example, we have Dr. Duwonge Mzumara Gawa, who is an accomplished woman. Amina Obanga, I think, should be a research biology department, something to do with, I think, biodiversity informatics. But the growth of the growth in the development, let's say in the talk about the education sector or the science sector. Like in so many ways, those things contribute to the development of a nation. Because obviously, even in Mabanga research, they consider my factors. I mean, nobody how is this specific research going to contribute to the development of like a nation? There makandi as many azigagale before they even go like further with pursuing that research. It's very important because specific gaps are being filled. Many gaps are being filled with women venturing in my research was to do with science, technology, engineering, mathematics. Commercial innovations, like I said, technological advancement. This in Zambia is mainly still involved with science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So it is very important. Women should not be left out when it comes to making choices, especially deciding to be or to venture in this world of science and STEM in general. Yeah, so that's my perspective. I know Antama can my perspective to understand it, and that's how I actually understand it.
Okay, thank you, Faith, for sharing your perspective and insights on this question that I asked you. And yeah, I do agree. It's great to have females out there who are actually venturing into science and technology, and also the example that you mentioned about Dionge, who's actually doing great things out there. And I will also say you, who's actually doing chemistry, and I think it's a great thing to have females who are doing science out there. Role models other females as well who are willing to do science. So yeah, the same question goes to you, and introduce yourself as you're answering the question.
Hey guys, so my name is Karen Mbale. I'm a student at the University of Malawi studying Bachelor's of Science in Biological Sciences. I'm currently in my 4th year and I'm also a graphic designer. Yep. So Women in STEM, so this is a movement that advocates for the increased representation and participation of women in the fields of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So in the past, these fields have been known to be male-dominated, and now efforts are being made in order to address the gender gap and create more opportunities for women in these areas. And I feel like this is important for the development of our country because it promotes diversity and inclusivity in different places. Because, for example, let's take a look at an organization that is solely dominated by men. So they'll only be having ideas or perspectives just coming from the male side. But then if I include females in that organization, there'll be diversity of ideas. So I feel like this diversity can lead to the increased advancements and innovations in the science and technology sector. And also women in STEM is important because it empowers women economically, because now women will now be encouraged to take courses in the science, in the engineering, in the engineering fields. So this will therefore make women, in order to get jobs or even to pursue these high paying careers. So this will bridge the gender wage gap that is there in different workplaces. So that's leading to the development of our country also.
Thank you, Karen. That was another great insight. And I do agree, it's great to have females actually doing science and technology. But for all this to happen, you actually need to have girls who are actually doing school and being educated. So I have a question. Do you think that this country is doing a great job in educating a girl child? And where do you think it can be improved?
I feel like, yes, Malawi is trying. Yes, Malawi is doing a good job in educating a girl child, although there is room for improvements. But yes, we are trying. We're doing a good job. I would give an example of the Malawi Girls Education Strategy that works hand in hand with different NGOs. Like, I'll give an example of the UNECO that aims at ending child marriages and bringing girls back to school. So I feel like that's a very great strategy that the Malawi government has actually implemented policies that promotes girl-child education. And however, challenges do exist, particularly in rural areas where girls face challenges like poverty, as well as long distances to schools. So I feel like if the government is building a lot of schools and also is creating that conducive environment that will make girls, in order to have passion, in order to be attracted in these science-related programs, like, for example, if they're constructing a lot of labs in secondary schools, I feel like that would be a great initiative, because what will happen? Girls will be empowered. So they will take up engineering-related courses, they'll take up mathematics-related courses. Yeah. So that will increase the participation of women in the STEM fields.
Anything you want to add, Faith?
Tika compare previous years in the Panoba, I can confidently say the country is doing its best. It's doing good in educating a girl child. Tikagamba zama advocacy programs panoba ndende ambili. Tikagamba zama NGOs, more organizations already they are supporting girls to venture into education, to being educated. Ndende ambili. And tikagamba suzone kuti ma sponsorship, scholarships, especially for girls. Those ones need Ambili. And Maga these days we can talk about my organizations. They want to support a girl child who wants to be educated. Then it has motivated a lot of girls to go back to school to be educated, because there's so much value, when you're educated. You think differently. You're obtaining a new kind of set of knowledge. When you do that, like I said, it's not in the development country so many ways, like I said, right? So as a country, we are doing our best. It's getting there, and the fact that as a nation we're able to understand Kudi, it is important to educate a girl child. And there's this saying that says Kudi, educate a girl child, you educate the whole nation. I think it says something like that. something close or maybe something similar. So yeah, so when we talk about my NGOs or my sponsorship, my advocacy, indeed my clubs and societies, ndambili onena kuti ndithu zikumathandiza kumapanga motivate girls to be educated. Even I can think of my training programs in the some companies or my organizations in they offer, or my workshops in it motivates a lot of girls to be educated. And the rate of a girl child being educated now is improving. I read a specific article. It should be the UN article on the Malawi government or something like that. But then the Naiwelinga in year 2014, inagamba kuti considerably about 27%, if not 30%, somewhere there, because I read about time. Only that small percentage finishes, gets a primary level. That was then in 2014. That was by 2014, only 27%. Tikagambano zaba no bandi my advocacy programs out the my NGO supporting and sponsoring girl child education. Obviously, but now this kubanga kunena kuti at least the percentage is better. Kuti ambili amamaliza primary level, ambili no akumaza fika to MSc level ja, and a good number of girls akumalo as far as tertiary education and then graduating and then winning in so many ways. So yes, as a nation we are doing our best. One time there are other girls they have still not been reached. Tugambaza, my girls they're coming from very, very poor families. They're still facing considerable barriers to have access to education. And we talk about when teen pregnancies, my results are my early marriages, my school dropouts, my lack of resources, and isn't to Zambi as many we can consider Nyagudi. There's still some girls on Nyagudi. They still haven't been fully reached. And also, we consider even my girls on Nyagudi, they're coming from places on Nyagudi, maybe sooner a specific organization or they have to advocate for child education. Talk about Midzi, or Nyagudi Mudzi, the country still can do so much in making sure those places they're still rich. That's a minimum. They should never be neglected, because they do maybe feel neglected. They're barely considered. So I think as a country we can still do much more. As much as we're doing more, Banoba, we can still do much more in accelerating girl child education.
Yeah, kumano I feel like one of the barriers affect a girl's education mayo kunogo ndi kaja hata kumayo kunogo fari mango banga expect kuti a girl child to be housewife akakula kuti asingolera ana and then azipanga ma house chores and stuff like that. So I have a question to both of you. Could know, how do you think, or how do cultural norms or society expectations impact women's participation in development initiatives, and how can this be addressed? Could know as then samabanga neglect azimaya jakabana siganaja kurani kubanga now develop this country.
Tikagamba cultural norms and society expectations. We're talking about how the society is expecting you to behave as a girl. They're expecting you to dress in a certain feminine way. They're expecting you to be nurturing, very accommodating, and worse still, they're expecting you to study something and not something. It's like they expect you to study a specific program that's meant for women and not for men. We talk about engineering, for example. Some girls or some women, I'm pretty sure at some point went through that sort of discrimination, or this is for men, So such expectations from the society and also from culture, values and beliefs have impacted a lot of women, a lot of girls from participating in development initiatives. Women's voices, a lot of girls' voices have been kept low. They've been hidden. They're bringing in my ideas or can really fill in my gaps in and the society or the nation as a whole is failing to fill. But so because a woman is not allowed to speak out or a woman is not allowed to be above a man. This Ndizori, it has shut like a lot of women from participating in my initiatives akulu or they contribute to the development of a nation. So there are many social and cultural barriers that keep young women out of the economy. And I think that it's high time as a nation we continued to work on that. Of course, we are working on that. And honestly speaking, the country is really doing good at making sure the women's voices are being heard. But I still believe, Kudi, there's still a lot of room for change, room for improvement, to allow even more girls that are being shot when in workplaces, in education sectors, for example, or they're failing to contribute, to give out their voices. So I think it's high time as a nation we also continue to look further to into that. I think some of the best ways we can advocate for such norms is understanding the value of respect. We were all created to voice ourselves out in all ways, in different ways. So we are also created to have some form of respect and reverence for each other. So if we understand the value of respect for a woman, I think it can help to bring about that confidence again, to speak out, to be involved, to allow these girls or women to be involved in my development initiatives or Siana. And I also think, Udi, we can also improve when it comes to collaborating with women. Onina Gudi, they have specific ideas towards my innovations, for example, my research. We can collaborate with them as a nation. Kudi, okay, so you're working on this specific research. We understand it will contribute to the development of a country, so we'd like to collaborate with you. I think doing that can actually even enhance women's voices. Kudi, they should be heard to the whole nation on how they're implementing Mamunas into, like I said, my innovations, my research, how they're going to develop a country. In specific, we'll talk about health sector, in so many ways. It will allow women to literally participate in my development initiatives or Siana. And above everything else, Kubanga so understand the importance of advocacy, advocating for women's rights in participating in my development initiatives. Go to my places on Agudi, they don't understand that they have rights. I was saying, remind them that they do. Create workshops into Agudi. Things that can just basically remind women they can play a very good leading role in participating my development initiatives or Siana that the country may be involved with. So it is very important that women do participate in my initiatives, my development, at the development of the nation of Malawi.
Yes, cultural norms and traditional cultural norms have really negatively affected the participation of women in the science-related fields. Why? Because how, I would say. Because as we all know, as you might know, that traditional gender roles in our country, they often assign women to domestic and caregiving responsibilities. The women are only confined to be in the spaces in the kitchen, nothing else in the family. They cannot contribute anything, but they're just confined to that small box. So I feel like this limits their opportunities as well as their involvement in these particular sectors. So I feel like in order for us to break these gender cultural norms in our societies, one, we have to raise awareness about these gender stereotypes and their impact on women's participation. So I feel like this can therefore help to challenge these cultural norms, these gender stereotypes. And this will lead to an increased participation of women in these particular fields. And also, if we are to provide trainings, mentorships, and resources to women that can enhance their skills and confidence in order to participate in the development initiatives, this would be a good idea and a good way to go, because we are doing capacity building programs, to the women. So they will now be confident. They'll now be independent, strong enough, they will now be able to take up these science or technology or engineering or mathematics related programs. Why? Because I've been trained, because I've been mentored. So if I do this will also be able to break these cultural norms that are there in our societies that contributes to the limited representation of women in the STEM fields.
Okay, yeah, I do agree. Trainings are really important, but I don't think most people are doing that. I think there will be impact for Rakaraz Yamba, and also Sigana Jazakayan, they're getting skill and knowledge of it. Kumasu Makaiwa Azwaran, Zugabanga motivated could they be doing this stuff in Zambia. Okay, I want to tell you a bit. I just have one last question, and we'll end it there. Can you give any piece of advice to women or girls who rely most on men or boys for money?
My advice to girls or women who solely depend on men for money is that they should focus on developing skills that can lead to better employment opportunities and help them to be financially independent. There are a lot of skills that a person can acquire, apart from just going to school, but one can learn tailoring, but one can learn baking, those small side hustles that a girl child can do in order to earn her a living, in order to earn her money. So I feel like if a girl child, if women are able to develop these skills, so this can help them to be financially independent. And also if these people, they're knowledgeable about financial literacy. So I feel like this is indeed a key, because if one is able to know about personal finance, what budgeting and saving involves, what it's all about, so they'll be able to make informed decisions and manage their own finances effectively. So this will make them to be self-reliant. This will help them to be financially independent. And yes, they'll be able to take up, courses that are related in the STEM fields. They will now be able to be, they'll be confident enough. Yes.
Oh, wow. This is a big one. I think the best piece of advice I can give to women or girls who rely most on men or boys for money is to never forget the potential that God has actually placed in you. He has given you every necessary tool you actually need. He has given you grace above everything else to wake up and to actually to be forgiven, to wake up and then to start over. It's not too late. You have so much potential. You can do that business that God is calling you to do. You can go to work that the Lord is calling you to actually work on. You can go to school. You can do it. You can start over. It's actually okay. All right. So when you nurture this spirit of independency a lot, it really helps you not to be like fully expectant on people, because like when you expect too much on people, obviously it never really ends up well a lot of times, because if they don't have that thing that you want at that specific moment, you can really get hurt easily. So at that point, how can you handle that? So it's a point where you have to nurture that spirit of independence. Okay, you don't have it, I understand. I'm going to work through it. I'm going to try this and I'm going to try this. So think of alternatives, because when we think about men and boys or men or whatever, they also have goals, they also have dreams, they also have maybe their own responsibilities, or they also have their own decisions to make. So you might not want to like fully be expectant or fully be dependent on them. They were created as helpers as well. So it's okay to rely on boys and men for money, but don't sleep on it. Don't be too comfortable there, Figure out your special your like your skill, understand your skill, and then work on your skill, build your skill. Don't rush. A lot of young people, especially, we're rushing so much. I don't know why, but take your time. Learn what God has actually given you. Invest in it. Invest in that education. Invest in that skill. Invest in that business. Invest in that work. Whatever you're going to do, once you do it, God provides. I trust God so much that He lets us do things, but then He also provides. He helps. He adds it on top. That's why even the Bible says in Hebrews James, it says good in faith without deeds is as good as nothing. So it's very, very important that you nurture the spirit of independency a lot. And as much as you're being independent, make sure you're depending on God as well. Because you can be independent, but if you don't depend on God, it's also as good as nothing. So you might want to try as much as you can not to rely so much on the opposite gender. So that's the best advice I can give, and that's according to how I feel about this advice. I think for me too, it's helped me a lot in so many ways. So I'll do the same for my fellow girls out there and women as well.
Hey, the last question was an interesting one. Hey, come on, yeah. I hope guys, Mara was really radu from what this girl was saying. We had an interesting topic today, on which we had Karen and Faith sharing their insights on this topic. And guys, we'll see you on the next episode. Drop your comments in whatever topic that you want to discuss on the next episode. We're here for you and we'll reach out to you. See you. Bye.